today we are completing the reflection lab. So the first thing you want to do is take the back sheet of your worksheet, it looks like this, and take your mirror and place it directly on the middle line. This has a mirror here. Yours will have to be held up, but I'm only by myself, so I'm going to use one that's a block that'll stand up by itself. The second thing we're going to do is create light waves, or create light rays, excuse me. So to do so, I'm going to use my phone, and you can see I have an LED light on my phone, and I'm also going to use this card so that I can make it into a beam, as you can see. So by holding the card in front of my light, I'm able to create a light beam. The first thing I want to do is make it so my light beam goes from the card, from O, you see this is the object point where it says O. I want to create a light beam that goes from O to C. Now you might need to move you might need to move the card around a bit to find the point where it hits letter C. Once you do that, we want to make a note of that point and draw our lines in. I'm going to use my protractor so that I get a straight line. So this is where it hit the mirror, so I'm going to draw a line from O, from O to the mirror. Hold your protractor properly. And then from the mirror to C, because that's where the light went. If you have a partner, then your partner can simply draw this in while you are still holding the mirror up, or the light up. Let's do a second one. So again, I'm going to start from point O with my card. I'm going to hold my phone such that it bounces off the mirror and through B. Can we all see that it's going through B if it hits right there? So I need to make a mark right there. Once again, I will take my straight edge, which is my protractor, and I'll draw a line from O to the point where it hit the mirror, and a line from where it hit the mirror to B. We're going to do this one more time. Put my mirror back, put my card back on O, and put my phone back up. And now I want to make it so the light hits A. Right there. Right there is where it hit to make a reflection to hit A. So once again, draw a line from O to the point where it hits the mirror. That's the incident point, by the way. And then a line from there to A. I'm going to put arrows on the end of these because this is the way the light is moving. I'm going to go ahead and label these are my incident rays, and these are my reflected rays. Now at each point where it hit the mirror, I want to create a normal line. Remember that normal means perpendicular. So I'm going to make it so my protractor is right on the point, and that this line is right on that middle line where the mirror was. And I'll make a little dotted line here. Dot, 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 dot. That's my normal line. Let's make another. For my next ray, again, I'm going to make it so the line on my protractor is right on the mirror line. And so I'm going to get a 90-degree perpendicular line. .90-degree perpendicular line. Okay. Now that I have my incident rays, my reflected rays, and my normal lines, I can get my angles. So to get the angle of incidence, Remember, the angle of incidence is between the incident ray and the normal line. So let's use our protractor to figure out what that angle is. I need to put my protractor right on the point, that dot where the two lines meet, right on the point where the normal line hits the mirror. And then I want to put this 0 line on the normal. Now I'm going to follow out my incident ray, and notice it hits at 38.5. So this is 38.5 degrees, and I'll just write it in. We want to do the same thing for our reflected ray. Put it right there on the normal line, the dot, and then again we want our normal line to be right on the 0. So we'll follow this out, and this is 38.5 degrees. Notice the angles are the same. That is the law of reflection right there. You'll want to do the same thing with each of your incident rays and reflected rays. Get the incident angle and the reflected angle. In the interest of brevity, I'm going to move on to the next part though. Once we're done labeling and measuring and labeling our incident and reflected angles, I want to take each of your reflected rays and trace them back to the other side of the mirror. Use a straight edge. I'm going to do the second one now. Notice I've got it lined up on this reflected ray, and I'm just going to make a dotted line that goes back. And lined up on the reflected ray, make a dotted line that will go back to the other side of the mirror. This is the other side of the mirror where there is no light. Now notice all three of these reflected rays, the reflected rays, seem to be coming from the other side of the mirror. This is where it looks like the light was coming from. And where they intersect, this is where the image is formed. Once you have your incident rays, your reflected rays, your normal lines, your traced back reflected rays, your image, and your angles labeled, drawn and labeled, then you are done with this part of the lab.